Puan Noor Aishah was just 26 when she entered public life in 1959 by the side of her husband, Yusof Ishak. He had been sworn in as Singapore's first Malayan-born head of state or Yang di-Pertuan Negara, as Singapore attained internal self-government. Together, the couple rallied and united the people as they witnessed the turbulent years in the birth of a nation. As wife of the first president, it was Puan Noor Aishah's task to turn the old government house into a palace fit for a new nation. Puan Noor Aishah was born in 1933 in Selangor, Malaya, and grew up in Penang. Her education was interrupted when the Japanese invaded Malaya in 1941. She had just turned 9 and still recalls the hardships of the occupation.
Very hard life because susah, slowly makan tak ada, apa tak ada, barang tak ada. So my mother have to sell the sarung. Sarung batik semua jual. Dapat duit beli makan, beli beras. Usually during Japanese time, we have to queue. Our queue up panjang, waiting for our turn.
By the time the Japanese surrendered, Puan Noor Aishah was 12. She was too old to go back to school and had to learn fast to survive.
Although I didn't go to school, but so many things I do. I can sew. My mother's friend after the war selling food, make nasi lemak, make at home, send to the shop. So I help them. I go and see how they cook, Since then I learned a lot cooking,
When Puan Noor Aishah turned 16, her family arranged a matchmaking through friends to find a husband for their daughter. The groom turned out to be one of the leading intellectuals of the Malay world, Yusof Ishak. He was the renowned editor of the Utusan Melayu, a leading Malay language newspaper which was very influential in the Malay community. Yusof Ishak was 39.
He told me he already 39. He said, world is enough already. I got so many things, I got friends, I got everything. So I want to get married, I want to settle down, but I don't want to be people too modern. I'm scared, he said. I choose a simple one. He said to me, simple one.
The couple soon had 3 children. These were momentous times for Malaya. In 1957, the country won independence from British rule. Yusof Ishak actively promoted multiculturalism and did not always see eye to eye with the Malay Nationalist Party UMNO, which governed the new nation of Malaya. He resigned from Utusan Melayu and moved to Singapore with his family in 1959. Singapore, now a self-governing colony with a fully elected parliament, appointed him chairman of the Public Service Commission. That same year, the People's Action Party won a landslide victory, and Yusof Ishak was appointed Yang di-Pertuan Negara, Singapore's first Malayan-born head of state. It was recognition of his contribution to the development of Singaporean values through his journalism. All his life, Yusof Ishak had campaigned for multiracial ideals. As a Malay, he offered himself as the living symbol of these values. The people of Singapore were divided by race, origin, and religion. And if they couldn't find a common cause, the fledgling nation might collapse. So in the early years, Yusof Ishak took on that pivotal role. Against this tense backdrop, on 2nd December 1959, the day before Yusof Ishak was sworn in, he was driven up the long driveway of the old government house to take up his new role. Alongside him, his wife Puan Noor Aishah and their 3 children.
kita rasa yang susah macam mana kita nak menghadapi ni, nak pekerjaan ni. Kan? Pasal orang baru. Ini pertama kali kan nak jadi yang Tuan Negara ni satu kerja yang baru.
It didn't take long for the tough realities of Puan Noor Aishah's new life to sink in.
We've been thinking, this place like this, we cannot forever live like this. Because my husband working, new term, every 4 years. If we cannot live like this, you can't afford. So we stay there 1 month.
So instead of the palatial mansion built in 1870 for British governors, the family chose to live in a modest staff house on the Istana grounds. They called it Melati, or Jasmine in Malay. For Puan Noor Aishah, Melati would become her home.
So anyway, 11 years we there. So I'm that time, 11 years I'm free. I can go anywhere. I go to market as usual. I keep my house, everything, the same thing.
Melati may have been a family home, but everything else was unfamiliar. She and her husband were now at the swirling center of Singapore's political life, and Puan Noor Aishah was out of her depth.
He's a journalist, he met so many people, so a lot of experience for him. So, to him, easy, But to me, when first, I don't know what to do because, I'm from a housewife looking after children and all of a sudden, so to change life, what to do? Carry on.
Now, as Singapore stood on the threshold of independence, Puan Noor Aishah stood by the side of the first President Yusof Ishak. In Singapore's Istana, she had to manage a staff of 300 and take on the task of transforming the former government house into a symbol of a new nation. The new Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, insisted that the Istana should be transformed into Singapore's #1 house, with all the ceremony and ritual that implied. At this momentous time, Winston Chu was the President's aide-de-camp.
In fact, the government and then Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew felt that the Istana must be really the #1 house, as good as any other #1 houses in the world, within reason. So a lot of effort was put in to change some of the furniture, to change the uniforms of the staff of the Istana, and also to make sure that whenever any functions are held in the Istana, it is looked upon as the #1 house and holds the dignity that is deserving of an independent country.
Many new tasks now fell onto Puan Noor Aishah. She used her expertise in the kitchen to give the Istana's menus a local feel. The star dish was her own version of sago gula melaka pudding. People remember her delectable dishes even decades later.
Puan Noor Aishah herself was an excellent cook. Personally, she takes great pain to see to the menu, decide on the menu, and to actually supervise even the cooking. The dessert, which is the gula melaka. In all my life, even till today, I have not eaten gula melaka the way she prepared.
And I still have fond memories of Puan Noor Aishah's cooking, especially one occasion when she prepared nasi ulam and spent days collecting more than a dozen different herbs to make sure she got the taste to perfection. I only had it once, but I remember it till today.
It wasn't enough to just localize the Istana menu. The cutlery, silverware and glassware were all still emblazoned with the British royal crest and had to be redesigned. With new menus and refashioned cutlery, the presidential couple used every opportunity to show themselves as equals to their guests.
Puan Noor Aishah and Cik Yusof always sat in the middle of the table opposite each other. And that way they were able to see and speak to and relate to the people on either side of them as well as the people opposite them. So they were a very, very informal couple, very friendly. She especially was quite an engaging person.
As Singapore slowly found its way as a new nation, the presidential couple showcased the country to the world. Wherever they appeared, they drew crowds. People wanted to say hello and shake their hands. They had numerous official duties in Singapore. On top of these were official visits abroad. Some presented unexpected challenges. In Cambodia, it was the decor.
They give 2 rooms. They say, oh, 1 room for madam, 1 room for my husband. So I say, hey, how come there's 2 rooms? And then we go to toilet. I can all the mirror, I cannot do it to hey, mirror everywhere. I never see in my lifetime like this. Everywhere mirror. It was a good experience, you know, when lifetime when to think over.
Puan Noor Aishah rose to the challenge, and she continued the state visit to Sri Lanka, then still called Ceylon.
She actually manages her time very well. You know, she cooks, but she knows that things must end at a certain time. She must give herself time to change, dress up, and to be on time for the next appointment.
That time, I have to dress up. I go to tailor. Tailor so slow. Better I sew myself. At night, when no function, I sew. I go to shop, I see whatever I like it, and then I'm free. You know, so easy. So I buy myself, I do it myself, boleh lah.
Before she went to the Astana, Puan Noor Aishah had not yet learned to speak English. But that had to change. Singapore may have been independent of Britain, but English was still an essential diplomatic tool. Her presence was required at many diplomatic functions that involved her husband.
So I have to be there for the wife to come and see me. So when first I come, I didn't know. I can't speak English, and then they all diplomat, all different country. So immediately I think, I must learn English, otherwise cannot.
All that effort paid off. Soon, Puan Noor Aishah was a confident English speaker.
Singapore has the highest standard of living in Southeast Asia, and exhibitions such as this will encourage and make possible further improvements to our standard of living.
Now, Puan Noor Aishah could step confidently onto the international stage and win the hearts of the people of Singapore. At the Istana, Yusof Ishak and Puan Noor Aishah built an idyllic life. But the new head of state faced huge challenges as he sought to bind the nation.
Bila dia jadi yang pertama jadi yang tuan negara, kerajaan PAP masa tu susah jugalah kata orang tak apa suka. Jadi satu malam dia kena jumpa orang 3,000 orang, 2,000 orang tu pergi second dengan dia orang, jumpa dia orang bersatu.
In those early years, the new government struggled to raise the living standards of ordinary Singaporeans. The president built his role by encouraging the natural generosity of Singaporeans. He exhorted them to build welfare organizations to help the poor, the handicapped, and the aged. The presidential couple invited many donors to the Istana to encourage them to donate.
Prime Minister always say, hey, who's car coming to Istana in the evening? Always got up and down with so many cars. They say, Puan Noor Aishah's tea party. Because we always, when after the work, we thank them.
In the early days, Singapore had not become the wealthy nation it is today. So the president and his wife set a frugal example at home.
Budget very little. So I have to do myself. make epok-epok, we make ourselves, epok-epok, we make, and then we have a kuih undi-undi, we make sandwiches also, we make ourselves.
Puan Noor Aishah took a leading role as patron or president of numerous charitable and public organizations. Over the years, Puan Noor Aishah also turned her attention to the plight of children in general.
I love children because when they see them, when there are no parents, all the doctors look after them, So anyway, I feel, I must do also something.
But the many functions that required the presence of Yusof Ishak and his wife took much of their time from their own children.
So Nyonya, small at times, she said, hey, can I follow you? I want to see you. I said, you cannot because it's job. It's poor thing. She the one always want to follow,
Although our parents didn't have much time with us, maybe in the evenings because they had to attend dinners and official functions, but they made sure that we always had 1 or 2 meals, breakfast and or lunch together, and that was actually a quality family time in which we shared a lot of our thoughts. As parents, they were quite strict. They were strict about things like integrity, honesty, hard work, diligence, very strict about keeping promises.
As her children grew up, Puan Noor Aishah had first-hand experience of the dramatic nature of Singapore's history. In 1965, after 2 tumultuous years, Singapore was forced out of the Federation of Malaysia. Singapore now faced independence alone. The nation's leaders, among them Puan Noor Aishah's husband, now representing the citizens of a new republic, believed that it was time to forge a national consciousness. President Yusof Ishak's first role was to calm the people of Singapore, who had expected their city to remain part of the Federation of Malaysia. Now they were confused and anxious.
Jadi kita nak persatukan semua rakyat Singapura, kan? Nak persatukan rakyat semua Singapura, apa bangsa semua. Kita nak minta dia orang semua bertaat setia pada kita, kerjasama, semua itu susah betul. Sebab apa? Macam I told you early. Satu malam 1,000 orang, kalau ada function kat Temasek, semua dia kena pergi jumpa orang ni, semua bilanglah kita masa ni kita nak Singapura nak membangun, you all must work together, must come up to give your whatever you can. This sort of thing mula memang susah. Memang permulaan susah.
The president and his wife used the rituals of the Istana to bond the nation. Puan Noor Aishah took on an important role, publicly supporting the many projects set up to improve living standards.
The list of events that she has got to participate in, and she's moving from one activity to another, and she's supervising the preparation, and so it's a continuous flow of things that she's got to do. It is definitely very challenging and hard work, but I, from what I can see, it doesn't show on her.
It gives me great pleasure to present certificates to so many able young men and women who have dedicated their lives.
Puan Noor Aishah was always interested in training and education, especially of young women. She always regretted having missed out on a proper education.
To each and every one of you, I offer my heartiest congratulations.
But the Girl Guides have always had a special place in her heart. In 1960, she became the first Asian president of the association.
They told me, you don't worry anything, we prepared for you everything. So, I do not know very much about that all, about you all. I would like to learn, I said. And then when I more deeper, when I see them, and they do good job, I like it. This is the way we bring up our children. I got daughter. I want my daughter also to join them, to be a guide.
One of Puan Noor Aishah's earlier contributions was to help raise money for a new headquarters. Every year, she presided at the Girl Guides World Thinking Day event. For her services, Puan Noor Aishah was awarded the highest honor, the Laurel Leaf. In 1967, Puan Noor Aishah's husband was honored yet again.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to move the motion standing in my name, that this Parliament, in accordance with Article 1 of the Constitution of Singapore, elects Yusof bin Ishak as President of the Republic of Singapore for a further term of 4 years to commence immediately after the expiry of his present term of office. Yusof and his wife, Puan Noor Aishah, have graced the Istana for 8 years. He has discharged his constitutional duties with devotion and dignity and has won the respect and confidence of the people. 8 years ago, Puan Noor Aishah did not speak any English. Now she speaks it easily. The willingness to learn, the keenness of Singapore and her people, a thriving, thrusting society, are personified in the President and his wife.
Although Yusof Ishak hoped to retire, he saw the need to serve his country and began his third term. By then, he was fighting ill health, and Puan Noor Aishah took on many of his public duties.
The National Day Award, he not do well, huh? So I said to them, never mind, I can peanut, don't worry. If you want me to do, you put one platform, because I'm short.
As President Yusof's health deteriorated, he began to worry about the future of his family.
He worried because I'm not working, never been working, so how to manage to look after the children. So I think before that he talked to the Prime Minister. I think because of that, MPM give pension.
In November 1970, President Yusof Ishak died of heart failure. He had loyally served Singapore for more than a decade, molding the values of the nation. After the death of her husband, Puan Noor Aishah took a new direction in life. She stepped down from public office and devoted herself to religious study. In 2013, her granddaughter Fatima organized a surprise 80th birthday party. President Tony Tan and wife visited her on this special day. The next year, then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong honoured President Yusof at the National Day rally. The Prime Minister also thanked Puan Noor Aishah, who was sitting in the audience and received thunderous applause.
Singapore has come a long way. It's the work of generations, each standing on the shoulders of the one which came before. And it started with one special generation, the pioneer generation. And one outstanding member of the pioneer generation was Encik Yusof Ishak, our first president. Encik Yusof showed that in Singapore, you can rise to the top if you work hard. He stood for enduring values that underpin Singapore's success: meritocracy, multiracialism, modernization. He was the president for all Singaporeans. So to mark SG50, we'll be honoring Encik Yusof in 3 ways. We're naming the new mosque in Woodlands, Masjid Yusof Ishak. We're renaming the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies to ISIS, the Yusof Ishak Institute. And we are creating a Yusof Ishak professorship in social sciences in NUS. And we're very happy that Puan Noor Aishah is here, and we're very happy that we have this opportunity to honor Encik Yusof for our 50th anniversary.
In one of her last public appearances, Puan Noor Aishah donated 2 of her kabaya to an exhibition on the iconic garment.
Puan Noor Aishah came from a very humble background, humble beginning. And her role as mother is instinctive, you know. But being the first lady is an added on big responsibility. So she juggles. And if you take a look at the children, they have grown up very well. Right? Imran became a doctor. Nyonya, you know, was well educated, married well, and so is Orchid. So she was both a good mother as well as an excellent first lady.
She had to manage a large household and carry out official and ceremonial duties, and it was a daunting task. She even hired a teacher to teach her English so that she could communicate effectively with Singaporeans and foreign dignitaries. But Puan Noor Aishah made all these appear effortless with her grace and her poise. And she touched the lives of many with her quiet determination, humility, and charm.
Puan Noor Aishah remains a symbol of Singapore's years of struggle and the bringing of harmony to a diverse new nation.